What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today's the day I got to do an oil change on my pickup. You might know if you've been watching the channel, but it's a 2004 Chevy Silverado. It's got the Duramax, it's an LB7 in it. So I'll be changing the oil on it, and also this video will be for a how to change the oil on your Duramax. If you're unsure or need any helps, tips, or advice, hopefully this video will help you. So we'll just go over the things that you're going to need to do it, and then I'll also show you how to do it as well. So you're going to need any oil of your choice. I run Shell Rotella 15W40 in this. I have ran this in it since I have owned this pickup, and I've owned the pickup for a long time. It has been a good oil for me, a good choice for me. I also run a Fleet Guard oil filter. You can run Fram or whatever. That's just personal preference for oil and oil filter, so really not a big deal. A funnel, you're going to be extremely handy. Basically, you're going to want one. Some kind of an oil filter wrench to get the oil filter off, and then you're also going to need a socket and ratchet, or you can use a box and opening wrench. My drain plug on here and your guys' should be the same. It is a 13mm wrench or socket that you'll need, and that's what I'm using. One other thing you're also going to need is a drain pan to drain the oil in. I have my drain pan right here, so that's what I'll be draining the oil in for doing this. So let's go ahead and get started and see what we got to do to change the oil in it. Alright, so here we are under the pickup. This is your drain plug on your oil pan, and then up here is your oil filter for it. So those will be draining the oil and changing the oil filter. I'm going to move the pan here out of the way to get this plug loose, and then I'll get it all the way out and drain it into the pan. So one thing I forgot to mention, I like to take a piece of cardboard or something and place it here so the oil does not drain onto my skid plate and make a mess. So that's what I'll do here. So you basically can just put a piece of cardboard like that. The oil is going to drip out of the pan and then run down the cardboard, keeping it off your skid plate, which is extremely handy. So the oil is about finished draining, so the next part we will move on to the oil filter. Like I said, the oil filter is just right up here, so we will loosen the oil filter up and then we'll get the pan underneath of it also. So one thing you really want to make sure is that the O-ring from your oil filter is not stuck on your oil filter housing here. It's always good to have a rag or paper towel or something, get that surface all cleaned up to make sure that it is not there. I'm going to let this oil keep draining out of this before I clean it all up and put the filter on. So you want to take your drain plug, and you're always going to have down at the bottom down here, this has a rubber seal. Sometimes there'll be a washer with a rubber seal on it, so you want to make sure not to lose the washer if it has that, or if it has just the rubber seal like mine has here, just to take your drain plug and get it good and cleaned up with a rag. And then it's always smart to inspect that seal for any damage to prevent any leaks. But once you get the drain plug cleaned up, we'll put that back in. We'll also take the oil filter here and we'll get that ready to put on. One thing that you're going to want to do is get the clean engine oil and put just a little bit of engine oil on the seal of the oil filter there. I'll go ahead and do that now. You don't need tons of oil, but just enough to get onto that seal there. So something like that will be perfect. So back under the pickup now, you can see that this is slowed down draining oil out, so we're just going to clean it up. Once you get that all cleaned up, just take your oil filter and then spin it on. Just spin it on until it's hand tight, and then a quarter turn. I do not pre-fill my oil filters. You have a clean side and a dirty side in there. Yes, you're using clean oil, but in case there's any contaminants, I don't like doing that. Your pickup is not running for very long. With it oil filter empty, it's going to prime it up fast, so I do not feel any need to add oil and pre-fill my filter. I like taking a rag also and just wiping the oil off on the pan around where the plug goes. It is still going to drain out a little bit on you, not a big deal.
but just try to get it wiped off and then reinstall your plug. Do that by hand. Be very gentle with it. You do not want to cross thread this. And then I just get that good and snug right there for myself. That's where I've always, if you've done this before, you don't need to go extremely tight, but you don't need to be loose. And if you haven't done it, you don't need to get crazy tightening that down. Just some nice good tension on it. Now that we've got the plug back in, the oil drained, and the filter changed, let's go ahead and go back up top and add the oil. Alright guys, we're back up top. So your engine oil fill cap is right here in the center. It says engine oil on it. See owner's manual. We don't need to see the owner's manual, but just go ahead and take that cap off. Take your funnel. Make sure your funnel is clean. Put your funnel in there. And then add your oil. So for the Duramaxes from 2001, and I know for sure until early 07 for the LBZ, they take 2.5 gallons of oil. So this jug here is 2.5 gallons. That is, and if you're not buying it in gallons, you're buying quarts, you're going to want 10 quarts of oil is how much it's going to hold. I'm just going to dump this whole jug into here. We'll check the oil level and then we'll start the pickup and check for leaks. So you're going to want to come over here to the passenger side. Right down here is your dipstick. So we'll pull this out. I like to wipe it clean the first time. Put it back in, pull it out, and then check it. And as you can see, it is full. So wipe the dipstick off again. Reinstall it. Now we'll start it up and check for any leaks. So I've got the keys. One thing that I like to do is I like to just watch the oil pressure gauge when I first start it, make sure that I get oil pressure, and then once I know that I've gotten oil pressure, then I check for leaks. So the oil pressure popped up, we're up over 60. Now we'll check for leaks. You just want to look under the pickup. Alright guys, we got her fired up. There was no leaks. We looked underneath. There was nothing leaking under there. That's what you want to check for. So now that it's been running, I've shut it off. Let it sit for just a sec here. We will check the oil level again just to make sure that it is full and topped off. Just like last time, pull it out, wipe your dipstick off, and then put it back in to get an accurate reading. And there it is, and you can see that it is full. Alright, so it's always good just to double check, make sure that your dipstick is back in and that the oil fill cap, you've also got it put back on. You just want to check and make sure. Look underneath, pick up all your tools and everything, make sure you don't leave anything behind. Once you've completed your oil change, that way you know you've got everything picked up, everything's cleaned up, and you know that it wasn't leaking and you haven't left anything behind. So oil changes are something that is really easy to do. I like doing my own oil changes. I know for sure that it does have, you know, everything was done correctly. My oil filter is tight, and just everything's done. Plus, you get to check your vehicle out while you're underneath in case you see any other problems. It also can save you a lot of money from taking it to a shop to get your oil changed, so that is another added benefit personally for me. So another tip I would say is just write your mileage down, have a little book, or write it in the back of your owner's manual, just write it somewhere, your mileage that you changed it at. On my pickup, I didn't mention, but I go every 4,000 miles and I change my oil and oil filter. So you can just write it in there. You can write 4,000 miles ahead, so you know once you hit that mileage, that's when it's due. Or you can write the mileage that you changed it at, and then just count 4,000 ahead from there. Whatever's easiest for you, but that's a tip that I do to hopefully you guys do something like that, and I think it'd help you out. Well, hopefully this video was helpful and informative for you guys. In case you're needing to know how to do something, it is extremely easy to do. I would recommend everyone change your own oil. It is not hard if you have the means to. So it is something really easy to do. Definitely take advantage of that. So I really appreciate you guys watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you have not already. So I will catch you all in the next one, and until then, take care.